Hey guys, I'm Swetha and welcome to my channel. So if you have a really big event wherein you have to go onto stage tomorrow and you're a beginner and pretty nervous about it, this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about stage speaking for beginners and how to overcome the common thoughts and fears that go through the mind before a person goes onto stage. So let's begin. So when you become aware of the fact that you have to go onto stage, the very ground rule you have to follow is to do your basic research. Now, basic research is not only the research and homework on what you're going to speak, but also to the crowd and whom you're going to speak to. So knowing your audience is always a very useful tool in helping you stand before them. Customizing what you're going to talk to the crowd only comes when you know who you are going to talk to. The second point in stage speaking or public speaking is only you know your content, and the people who are sitting down as audiences are only going to listen to what you are about to say. So it doesn't really matter if you forget something, because people aren't going to really find out unless you make it obvious. So when you go onto stage and you forget something, it is okay, it is natural, but don't make it obvious by stammering, and you don't really have to be scared about missing a point, because the audience only listen to what you say and you are the only person who know what you prepared or what you have missed. The third point in public speaking or stage speaking is to practice in the mirror if you are a beginner. This has proved to be a very effective tool. Just look in the mirror a day before or like a couple of days before if you feel that you want enough confidence before you go onto stage. Practice before a mirror, and that is bound to gain you confidence before you go onto stage. The next thing about stage speaking is, if you are talking to large crowds of people, remember that they can see you on stage but you can't see them, because if you're onto large platforms or stages where there are blinding lights onto you, you can't actually see the number of people or the people who are sitting in the audience. So that is an added advantage to you when you go onto stage. The next thing about stage speaking is, don't look particularly into anybody's eye, because when you look into a person's eye, you lose flow of what you are saying. So stick your sight to the hairline and the forehead of people, and make sure that you look around everywhere and not just focus on one particular area or spot or one person when you're speaking. The next point about stage speaking is gestures. Your hand gestures speak a lot and add compliment to what you are actually saying. So when you are practicing in the mirror, make sure that you practice with hand gestures. And keep your language simple and understandable, because when you use a lot of complicated vocabulary, you tend to forget them when you become nervous, or you might slur them and people might not understand what you're saying. So keep your language simple but significant, and just tell what you have to tell. The next thing about stage speaking is going well dressed, because dressing distracts half the people, and not many actually zoom onto our mistakes, even if we do so when we are actually speaking on stage. So dress well when you are going onto stage. The next thing about stage speaking is being really loud. When you mumble things into yourself, no matter how well you have practiced them, it is of no use, and no mic can compliment you unless you are loud enough. So whatever you have practiced, make sure that you are loud and do not tremble. There are a couple of exercises you could try before going onto stage, and the best thing about them is watching your breath. So simple breathing exercises can help you calm down before you go onto stage, and always when you practice in front of the mirror, watch your breath or ask a friend to watch your breath and the rate of how you speak. So the next thing about stage speaking is, or if it is some sort of presentation and people are asking you questions, you can always say you can get that you will get back with the answer, and remember it is okay to not know the answers for everything. So when someone asks you a question about something when you are speaking on stage, you don't really have to get nervous about it, because not everybody knows everything, and you can always say that you will get to know the answer and get back to them. So that type of confidence is actually bound to be appreciated and more favored. The next thing about stage speaking is sticking to the language of your preference. You need to keep your vocabulary simple and significant, but if you want more confidence and if it is permissible, you can stick to the language of your preference in which you are comfortable in. The next thing about stage speaking is about starting great and ending great. So when you are preparing your speech or when you're preparing what you have to say, make sure that the starting and the ending are punched out, and the middle part of it could be a little admissible. So why do you think it is important that the starting and the ending of a speech are important, if you ask, is because when you come onto stage, people are excited and they're curious about what you're going to say, and a great start is always a great beginning to a great speech. And ending, if you ask, why should it be great? Because not all people have a very good attention span, and the average attention span, of a people who are patient is just about 20 minutes. So if you are on stage exceeding that time, make sure that your ending is great, because even if people tend to get distracted in between, they can always vouch on your ending because it was too good and they still remember you. About the timing of speaking onto stage, make sure that your speech is concise and to the point. If possible, add humor into it. A good humor is always bound to be remembered, and when you make a joke which is obviously not offensive and light, your speech is almost an instant hit among the people. So do your groundwork, do your breathing exercises, practice in front of the mirror, and on stage look onto the area between the forehead and hairline of the people. Make sure to make hand gestures, make sure you'll glance everywhere and be loud, and you're going to give a great shot at whatever you are doing. So practice well, take a deep breath, and have a great start. Thank you.